Well, guys, we've made it to Friday, Southeast Texas. Thanks for hanging out with us all week. I'm Dejanique Garrison.
And I'm meteorologist Patrick Vaughn. We've been keeping close watch on Barry as he continues to near the Louisiana coastline. Looks like the Atchafalaya River Basin as we head on into tomorrow morning. Hurricane warnings continue from Intercoastal City to Grand Isle, Louisiana. And the storm still is packing winds of 65 miles an hour, expected to turn more northwest coming up tonight, making landfall, looks like as a 70-mile-per-hour tropical storm in the morning, and then weakening as it heads into northern Louisiana by Sunday afternoon. Notice none of southeast Texas under that cone of uncertainty, staying to our east. And right now we continue to see wind gusts on the order of, let's say, 40 miles an hour along the coast, couple 70s and 79s offshore from, let's say, Lafourche Parish. Otherwise, 20s and 30s as far as wind gusts in through Louisiana. So nothing all that bad out there right now. As you can see, there's where the storm is, expected to head towards the west and northwest, making landfall. And radar showing the circulation still out over the water. And it looks like about 110 miles to the west-southwest of the mouth of the Mississippi River Valley. Still limited convection and shower and thunderstorm activity on the northern side of the storm. It's a very lopsided storm. And that when the rains do come in, and that will probably be Saturday afternoon into eastern Louisiana, that's when we'll see really heavy rainfall. Could see 15, maybe 20 inches east of that line. Otherwise, looking at storm surges mainly east of the center over towards Terrebonne Parish on the order of 3 to 5 foot, maybe 6 is out there. So looking pretty good for southeast Texas at this time, as the storm stays well off towards our east. Coming up, we'll talk about the effects, which I think we could see some wind gusts of about 25, maybe 30, all across southeast Texas. The worst of it is going to be east, obviously, and 1 to 4 inches seems reasonable and warranted at this time.
We can handle that.
I think so.
We can handle that. So 12 News reporter Rachel Keller, she spent some time at the National Weather Service over in Lake Charles for updates on the storm's projected path. So let's listen in.
A team of meteorologists are currently tracking Tropical Storm Barry, working around the clock, tracking the storm's pathway. It's expected to make landfall on the Louisiana coast Saturday morning. As we take a look outside, it's really the calm before the storm right now. Central Louisiana is the area of concern here. New Orleans, Baton Rouge, and surrounding areas are on high alert.
Pending the forecast, we think there's going to be a very significant threat for storm surge flooding and flash flooding across parts of south central, southeast Louisiana. We're forecasting up to over potentially 20, maybe locally as much as 30 inches across parts of those areas. It just depends on where the rain band's set up, where the persistent heavy rains fall. We'll be monitoring the system for potential flooding, and with rain bands, there is maybe potential tornadoes as well. Also, we're briefing our emergency managers, elected officials, and so forth on potential impacts from Barry.
As for southeast Texas, cities toward the northeastern border could face higher wind gusts and rain this weekend. You can also stay up to date on our southeast Texas weather conditions on our 12 News Now app. In Lake Charles at the National Weather Service, I'm Rachel Keller, 12 News.
You can download our 12 News Now app because we want you to stay updated on Tropical Storm Barry's path. You know, it's getting really close to the coast, but things could always shift just a bit.
It's possible.
But we don't think we should see.
No, usually when it gets that close to land, things are pretty much locked in.
Good.
And I don't see much of a change that would cause it to change left or right more than 100 miles. So even if that happened to the west, I think we're still in good shape.
Exactly what we want to hear. Now, folks over in Cameron Parish, they're preparing for the arrival of the storm. That is where we're going to find 12 News reporter William Blanchette. He's been out there all day checking out what's happening. Will.
Well, Dejanique, people still remain pretty calm here. I did talk to some people that were preparing, buying food and water just in case the storm does get pretty bad. That voluntary evacuation was issued here in Cameron yesterday afternoon. I did get a chance to talk to Sheriff Ron Johnson, and he told me that since the voluntary evacuation was ordered yesterday, there's nothing new on their end. They still have extra patrol out to help monitor evacuations. Johnson says he's ready to move their 911 communications further to north if at the last minute Barry decides to make a sharp turn to the west. Now, the Sheriff's Department will be putting updates on their Facebook page as the storm gets closer to us. Shrimp boat workers along the coast tell us they plan to put a temporary halt on their operations this weekend until the storm settles. We did get a chance to talk to those here who will be staying.
I think we're going to be okay. We might get some winds and a good bit of rain possibly, but for the most part I think we're on the better side of it. I hate to see anyone get it, but you know, we wish them well.
Now, Sheriff Ron Johnson says either Saturday evening or Sunday morning is when this voluntary evacuation will be lifted here in Cameron. He doesn't believe a mandatory evacuation will be necessary because we're less than a day from the storm hitting central Louisiana. We're live in Cameron. William Blanchett, 12 News.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, William. And as Barry makes its way to Louisiana, groups of Texans are packing up to do the same. They're part of a nonprofit group called Cherokee Search and Rescue. Now, once the storm is over, they're going to small towns in Louisiana to offer supplies, medical attention, and help local authorities with search and rescue. So if you'd like to send some supplies with this squad, you can call David Wagstaff at 409-962-8808.